Dave Koken turned 70 on January 13th, and we want to celebrate Dave's 70th all week long by offering everyone 7 days of his all-access service for just $70 using coupon code KOKEN70 when checking out on a 7-day all-access pass. That's every play in every sport for 7 days, including any 5% releases for just $70, coming out to only $10 a day. Dave is a legend in this business, with many calling him the GOAT. Despite betting and winning in sports since the Black Sox scandal, he could be enjoying one of the best runs of his career since joining WagerTalk. Look at his lifetime numbers since joining the WagerTalk family exclusively. #1 in total profit, #1 in college football, #1 in golf, #2 in NHL, and #4 in MLB. Just like fine wine, Dave Koken is getting better with age. Happy birthday, Dave, and take advantage of code KOKEN70 and get 7 days for only $70.
Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I am Lawrence Presman. That handsome devil is Teddy Covers, and you're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet. Teddy, my brother, who's on? What are they talking about? I'm excited.
Steve Merrill's going to open up the show with us today. He's going to talk NFL this weekend, the Seahawks and the 49ers, as well as the Dolphins and the Bills, NFL playoff action. He's also going to talk a little college hoops for tonight, some TCU versus Texas in Big 12 action. Kevin Dolan is going to join us next. He's going to talk some EPL, Man City versus Man U on Saturday. He's got some boxing he's going to break down. Chris Eubank versus Liam Smith. Arthur DiCesare from the Westgate True Book is going to join us to close out the show. My big game breakdown, a little college hoops for tonight. We'll talk some Cal, Washington State, and of course, if we get 100 likes, the presidential address to close out the show. So, good looking show for Wednesday, Prez. Let's get into it.
Well, let's start with the awesome Stephen Merril, looking really dapper today, dude.
So I send the games over overnight always, and as you know, Teddy and Prez, the lines usually move against me, and I wanted to do a two-team teaser, and both games were sitting at 9.5, and I'm thinking, one of these is going to be 10 by tomorrow morning, and it's not going to be a good teaser play anymore. Well, 20 minutes ago, it's not even 10. We'll talk about it out of the gate. The Buffalo-Miami game is now like 12.5, 13, and climbing, and that's because Tua has been ruled out. So, I don't see Buffalo losing this game. That's why I liked them as a teaser. 9.5 got them down to 2.5. It was basically a straight-up win situation. It's getting a little pricey now, but teams that win normally cover, whether it's the playoffs or regular season. And the Buffalo also, I will point this out about the Bills. They're a team on a mission. You guys are old enough like me to remember the Mike Utley situation. I was a senior in high school. I was a huge Redskin fan. The Lions came out of nowhere that year when he was paralyzed. They made it all the way to the conference championship, got blown out by the Redskins. But Buffalo's got a lot more talent. I just feel like they're a team you don't want to get in front of right now. So the line is high, but at 2 touchdowns or less, the Bills are probably still to play.
So how do you deal with this in the postseason? In the regular season, when a quarterback is out and the line skyrockets, we tend to look for value. We're like, hey, the backup can play. And in general, I'm looking for the dog. In the postseason, I tend to just leave the game alone because I've been burned by the dog so many times over the years that I know I don't want Skylar Thompson in a playoff game. I don't want a third-string quarterback. A lot of times I don't want a second-string quarterback in a playoff game. Do you have that same thought process, Steve, or is it different when it comes to the postseason versus the regular season when a QB is missing?
I think you worry a little bit less about the backdoor cover, Teddy, in postseason games because teams don't take their foot off the gas. And obviously we saw that, for example, in the Georgia game. One of the reasons I know you and I both had big plays on Georgia. And one of the reasons is, once again, we're old enough to remember those early 1990 Super Bowls. And I thought that game was reminiscent of the old NFC dominance over the AFC. You had a team that was superior, and those games end up in blowouts. And we saw those 80s and 90s Super Bowls when the NFC routed teams like the Redskins, the Giants, the 49ers, and, of course, the Cowboys. They would win by margin. And what happens is teams get desperate. The underdog, the losing team gets desperate. They try to catch up because the season is over. They don't just mail it in and stay healthy for the next game. And boy, if you could ever see a pick six late in the game, it's with a backup third-string quarterback on the road in cold conditions. So if anything, I think the front door covers are more likely in these games. And that's once again why Buffalo would be the only way to play it.
Yeah, and it makes sense, Stephen. I'm with you on Buffalo. You know, I mean, I think to myself, what could the score be? And you know, I'm giving Buffalo 30 at a minimum, and 30-13 feels about right to me in this game, which is pretty close to the total. So I'm with you on that. But Steve, we're here to speak about two games, and one of them was a teaser that included the Buffalo Bills with the San Francisco 49ers. Where do you want to go here now? Are you still going to use this as a teaser or no?
No, and by the way, I'm watching the WagerTalk live odds screen as we're doing this live at noon Eastern Wednesday afternoon, and it's pretty much 13 now. So even like if you did a 10-point pleaser or teaser, Teddy, you'd get it down to 3, right? We can't get below that key number anymore, unfortunately. This was 9.5. The other game I was going to mention was San Francisco, Seattle on Saturday because that was also 9.5. And normally I'm not looking to do 7-point teasers, but when both games go from 9.5 down to 2.5, it's an advantage play because you're getting into that straight up win situation. And it's a similar setup. I don't see San Francisco losing this game to Seattle on Saturday. Seattle snuck in as the 7 seed. Look, an incredible season. Geno Smith, I think, set like the single season passing record for the Seahawks, which is just remarkable. Russell Wilson leaves town, has a flop of a season with Denver after the big payday, and Geno Smith, the wily veteran, has his best year ever. But keep in mind, these teams played in week 2 here, and I remember this vividly, Teddy and Prez, because one of my Westgate entries, the Shady Five, with Morency and Joe Ranieri and some of the Sports Grid guys, went 14-1 the first 3 weeks. And we split the first 3-week prize. We would have had it to ourselves, obviously, at 15-0. And the only game we missed was Morency used Seattle plus 9.5. And I actually really liked San Francisco in that game. And it was too early in the season to pull the old veto, which we should have had in place, logistically. So every time I see Seattle at San Francisco for the rest of my life, I will think it cost us an extra $28,000. So out of spite, I'm still back in the 49ers here. But they're a team on a mission, and it's going to most likely be San Fran at Philly in a few weeks. And I think San Francisco is the team to beat. And by the way, most of their wins, in fact, I think all their wins over the last month have been by double digits, except for maybe one. So they've been winning by margin. And once again, you don't see that changing in the playoffs.
Teddy?
So 2 things here. First, it's important. There are still, it's important. There's still 12.5s out there at some books. If you do like Buffalo, there's urgency to get your bet down on the Bills right now because obviously the line is steaming as we speak. And, we've seen the bigger wild card favorites pretty much dominant at -9 or higher, 12-0 straight up, 12-0 ATS in the last 12 tries, and it's been one blowout after the next. When we look at Buffalo, Miami, when we look at San Fran, Seattle, are these games both that fit into that, we expect the blowout, the underdog here is just not going to be able to compete type of contest?
Yeah, and Seattle's got a very strong home field as well. And that's not at work for them here either. We've seen the playoff atmosphere in Seattle over the years. And the thing I like about San Francisco is they've won with 3 different quarterbacks this year. They're just a complete team. That's just how good the team is because they've won with 3 mediocre quarterbacks and they've made them look pretty good. Maybe Purdy's going to end up being a Hall of Famer. His numbers have been good at times. I think that's more a good O-line, good system. The pickup of McCaffrey, obviously, midseason shows this team is looking to win the Super Bowl. But the defense is the big difference here. Seattle is not a good defensive team. This is a team that gave up 28 points per game on the road, almost 6 yards per play. And once again, it's just like the Miami Buffalo situation. I liked them in a teaser when they were both 9.5, but I still like them both to cover because I don't see them losing the games. I don't like to try to play that guessing game where you're hoping for the 7-point loss with a dog. And once again, in the playoffs, the snowball factor actually favors the favorite to pull away because the underdog gets desperate. And that's when you see the pick sixes and other mistakes. So only way to play through these games, as you would say, Teddy, is if you're going to play it, you better lay it.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. Exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk.com. Steve, I guess we got to move to your college basketball play, TCU, Texas. What do you got going for us?
First, a quick programming alert. For the first time ever, I did a Wednesday night top 25 video. It just went live about 30 minutes ago here on WagerTalk TV, so check that out. I, of course, do that every weekend with college football all fall, and now that we're over with college football, I'm going to do it with college basketball for all the Saturday games. I've done that for a few years, but Wednesday is a huge card as well. So after you watch the show today, check out the top 25 preview. There's 3 games tonight, and the reason I bring that up is because one of those games is TCU and Texas. And I was so happy to see the Horned Frogs on the basketball card because I get a little revenge. I didn't get to do a college football video after the semifinals, and I caught more heat on Twitter and the YouTube comments about TCU not being for real after their win against Michigan. Their dominating win against Michigan, in which they were outgained by 50 yards, had 2 pick sixes. Michigan didn't score twice from the 3-yard line. They still only lost by 6. TCU was exposed, obviously, on Monday night, not a top 4 team. But the basketball team is ranked 17th. But if you look at the KenPom rankings, guys, they're 31st. If you look at the power rating and the Sagergan, the predictor rating, they're like 26th, I think. So they're not maybe even a top 25 basketball team. But they're really good defensively. But where they struggle is offensively. And just like in college football, Texas is better. By the way, Texas' college football team finished ahead in a lot of the power ratings this year, ahead of TCU even. And they're ahead of them in basketball as well. Texas is better offensively. I think that'll be the difference in this game. But I'm going to look at the total. I actually like the under. 2 really good defensive teams. TCU allowing just 40% shooting, but they struggle to shoot on their own. They're hitting just 29% from three-point range on the road this season. I think Texas shuts them down. A TCU team total under would also not be a bad play in this game. I like TCU Texas under the total tonight on ESPN2 at 9 Eastern.
So it is worth noting that TCU hasn't lost a game by this kind of margin all year. Their losses by 2 points and by 1 point. They've beaten some pretty good teams as well. And Texas has been through a fair bit as a team over the course of the last couple of weeks. But you talked about how good these two squads are defensively. TCU's been flying over the total of late. They've played 4 overs in their last 5 ball games. Is this a Horned Frogs team that's changing their style of play, or is it a little bit more random than that? Because they played a shootout against Baylor. They played a much higher scoring than expected game against Iowa State in their last 2 in Big 12 action.
Yeah, I don't think the pace is all that much faster. If you look at it, I mean, some of those paces have been a little faster. Baylor, of course, is comfortable in that style. But you look at the shooting. They've shot basically 49% or better in 3 of their last 4 games. They've gone over in 3 of those 4. I don't see that happening tonight. Texas is holding teams to just 41.5% shooting. And once again, TCU has to score in transition because they're still shooting just 29% from three-point range for the season. I don't think Texas is going to allow those transition baskets. They have a really good 2-point defense, one of the best in the nation. I think this is a bad matchup for TCU. So TCU team total under or game under both make sense.
Awesome stuff, Steve. What do you got to promote?
Yeah, we talked about the college basketball video, top 25 videos live right now on WagerTalk TV. That's a great reason to hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts when these videos go live on Wednesday. Also, college basketball Saturday, NFL Fade the Public playoff edition. Playoffs, that'll be here Saturday as well. And don't forget, you get the rest of the college basketball season right now for just $2.99. It's normally $4.79. Instant discount this week only on my page right now. Get the rest of college hoops, less than $3.50 a day. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Steve, I know you watched the Showtime, and I'm sure you watched the Jordan program. I just finished the 4th episode, which I think is the last, on Shaq. Really great, man. Have you watched that at all?
I saw the first one over Thanksgiving when it came out, and I keep forgetting to watch the others, but the first one was fantastic, and I was looking forward to them, so that's good to hear. Yeah, I'll definitely check those out.
Yeah, highly recommend. Steve Merril, everyone. Teddy, before we get into what did we learn, yesterday somebody asked an important question, and today, I don't know if it's the same person, but they're asking again, and that is, the concept of how do you buy only 5% plays? I want to buy 5% plays for the whole year. Everybody's 5% plays for the whole year. Is there a deal? So the way it works ultimately is our back end does not have the ability to single out 5% plays and sell them where you can buy a year and only get the 5% plays. However, we have a solution. Buy WagerBucks. If you go over to WagerTalk.com, in the middle of the page, you will find where you can buy WagerBucks. We sell those WagerBucks for much cheaper than $1. So each WagerBuck would be have a value of $1. But depending on how many WagerBucks you buy, you can get huge discounts on them. And then use the WagerBucks to buy your 5% plays. That's literally the only way we can do it. However, we are rebuilding our back end in the next 6 months. So that is something that I will put in to see if it is something we can do. It is a great question. The only way to do it now is to buy WagerBucks. Theodore, what did you learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
So this is not from last night, but it's been so busy this week, I haven't had time to talk about it yet. We have to talk about what happened with Bernie Kosar this past week. All right, you love him, Prez, the great Jewish hope at quarterback in Cleveland, a legend in that town, and he's a radio contributor and analyst for the Browns.
And he lost all his money. All his money. Did you know that?
This is what Bernie Kosar did. On air, on the Bernie Kosar show, he said that he had bet $19,000 on the Browns as the first sports bet in Ohio. He said he would donate the money to charity if he won the bet. And then he was let go. He was fired. All right. Earlier this week, we notified Bernie that per league policy, we're required to remove him from our pregame radio coverage for the season finale after he violated the NFL gambling policy by placing a bet on an NFL game. We understand what Bernie means to the community and our history, but as a team contracted personnel hired to provide content on our media platforms, his bet was a violation of NFL rules, and we must adhere to all NFL policy. I thought we were done with this. I really did. And now Bernie Kosar loses his job, not because he did anything illegal, because he made a bet and talked about it on air. He didn't make a crazy bet. He's betting on the team that he's backing and supporting, the team that he's employed by. He's not betting against them. He's not using inside info. It's the first day of legalized gambling in Ohio, and Bernie Kosar loses his job. And to me, that is freaking stupid. We should be done with this. All right? It really made me mad, Prez, to see this guy losing his job because of it talking about a bet that he made, that he's donating the winnings to charity. But this, well, you can talk about betting, we can run the lines on the NFL network, but if the pregame host happens to mention a bet that he made, he gets fired? Come on. Really? Come on. Enough. That's what I have to say about Bernie Kosar. Prez?
Let's take a moment to just bask in Teddy's anger there. I'm with you, bro. It makes no sense. I mean, I think he probably got fired for just showing poor betting judgment by betting on the Browns. How is this shit still going on, man? I mean, it's legal.
So I remember when Tony Romo was fined, I think it was $500,000 by the NFL. It was 2014, I think it was, maybe 2015 even. Because he was going to come to Vegas and host a fantasy conference. Fantasy football. But there were prize money. There was entry fees. And the NFL said, no, Tony Romo. Big no. That's the last time I remember the NFL doing something like this. This is what, like maybe 8 or 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. We're really supposed to be past this. And the fact that this regulation is in place, where the broadcaster, if he talks about a bet that he made on the Browns, is going to get fired, change the frickin' regulation. Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I have no words. But to reiterate what we spoke about at the top of the segment, Just Locked and Loaded writes, is there a package where we can only buy 5% plays? Now, I think I addressed that, Just Locked and Loaded. The answer is no. However, you can buy WagerBucks. They are massively discounted, and you can use those WagerBucks to buy only 5% plays. Therefore, you get your volume discount. However, try a new plan. Email customer service and ask them. Our customer service team, world freaking class. They will take care of you. I don't know how else to answer that question, Teddy. Do you?
You answered it. Let's bring in Kevin Dolan, see what he thinks.
Okay, Kevin. Speaking of which, he's wearing a Boston Celtics hat. So, Kev, that does lead to the question, is that the team of Ireland?
I have no idea. The reason I wear it, obviously, is because I lived in Boston for 3 years. So it's definitely my team. But look, with the little mascot and the guy, he's got the shillelagh in the hand, I would presume if there's going to be any team in the NBA that's going to be Irish, it's going to be the Boston Celtics, obviously.
Yeah, how many Irish people play on the Celtics? I know there's Finnegan.
Yeah, probably not too many. We're too short. We're too short to play NBA.
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. I have a extremely woke niece, and I asked her at dinner 2 nights ago if the NBA should be mandated to have one really short player per team, because it's really not fair. I mean, I'm 5'7". I'm automatically excluded from playing in the NBA, and that just doesn't seem to be inclusive to me. That is not what this world should be about. Every NBA team should have one person under 5'8". It should be mandated. Teddy, you want to talk?
You're not
to
automatically excluded from the NBA, Prez. You're just not good enough. There have been guys shorter than 5'7".
I know, we've had two. Yeah. The Webb and the Bogues. Yeah. Okay, brother. Manchester City against Manchester United. Huge freaking rivalry. Isn't there a name for this game? This is a big football game.
Well, there's a name. Right? It is the Manchester Derby, as you said. I don't know if there's a specific name for it.
Yeah, the Derby.
But yeah, look, it's taking place on the red side of the city this weekend, and I'm on a Pacific prop bet for this game. City have tended to dominate this fixture over recent meetings between the two sides. Won each of the last 3 by multi-goal margins. But that likely won't be the case here on Saturday. Manchester United are arguably the form team in the league right now. And the fact that, we've seen these odds slash from around minus 155, the last time these two teams played in this venue to around minus 125 right now shows the bookmakers, expect United to be more competitive in this game. But, saying that, City are still the benchmark team, in this league, if not all of Europe. They rested players on the weekend against Chelsea in that cup game. Frankly, didn't need them, absolutely dominated that game regardless. And, they know that another win here puts an awful lot of pressure on a kind of traditionally fragile Arsenal team in first place. They have to go and try and find a result against Tottenham on Sunday, and what should be another tough derby game over in North London. So, with a win here, we potentially see this game close, gap at the top close to just 2 points by the end of the weekend if all goes well for City here. So, I do expect the best ever from Manchester City in this one. I do expect them to get the victory, as they're unbeaten in 6 of the last 7 at Old Trafford in this fixture. They've won 5 of those 6 outright as well. But instead of simply taking Manchester City to win the game outright, I'm going to try and squeeze a bit more value out of this one. I'm going to take Manchester City on the winning margin prop to win by exactly 1 goal, which is, widely available. DraftKings have it up at plus 220 in this one. United's defense has been absolutely on point this season, especially at home. They've allowed just 4 goals all season at home. Phenomenal defensive record. And, that's 2.5 times better than even what Man City have managed to do this season at 10 goals allowed. So, Erik ten Hag has this team playing extremely tight at the back right now. And it'll likely be incredibly difficult for as good as City are to break United down in this game. United have the second best defensive XG rating in this league at home since October 1st as well. So, if City do find a way to get over the line in this game, get the winner, it'll likely come by the minimum. So I'm going to take Manchester City in this game to win by exactly 1 goal. That's the early kickoff game over in the EPL this weekend, plus 220. I like the value on that.
Man City to win by exactly 1 goal, worthy of a wager from Kevin Dolan. By the way, Prez, we missed a whole bunch of little guys. Earl Boykins in the NBA has been a recent one. Isaiah Thomas, who has been bouncing around the league in recent years. Nate Robinson. There's a whole bunch that stood out to me as guys who people might know. Calvin Murphy, 5'9", or shorter. So there's room for short guys in the NBA. Just not you, Mr. Prez.
Well
when
said,
it comes
Teddy.
To
well said.
Kevin Dolan. Let's talk a little boxing for Not this week. This is coming up, though. Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith. What do we want to do? Where's the line for this one? And where's the value? You want to get involved in this boxing?
Yeah, really interesting fight, Teddy. Takes place next Saturday night, the 21st, over in the UK. Liam Smith takes on Chris Eubank Jr., as you said. A real crossroads fight for both men. Both fighters, well up in their mid-30s right now. And, Liam Smith's been on a nice little run over the last few years since that loss to Canelo back in 2016. He's racked up 9 wins, just 2 defeats over that time frame. One was very controversial as well. He lost to Magomed Kurbanov over in Russia, a fight many felt he deserved to win. And the other fact about Smith is he's looked even better since teaming up with trainer Joe McNally in his home city of Liverpool. McNally's arguably, in my opinion at least, probably the best coach in the UK right now. He's devised absolutely brilliant game plans for Liam Smith, obviously. Kid Shamrock as well, upsetting Kerman Laraga over in Bilbao. And now he's got highly touted middleweight prospect Cravino Argueco in his stable. He's got undisputed 140-pound champ Josh Taylor as well. So, to say Liam Smith is in good hands here is a bit of an understatement. Joe McNally is one of the best in the business. With that said, and this is going to be a big but, Smith does face a fighter in Chris Eubank next weekend that I just don't see Smith's high-pressure style working out all that well against. Excuse me. Chris Eubank Jr. is a fighter who trains with the legendary Roy Jones Jr. Even Prez must have heard of Roy Jones Jr., I'm presuming. Brought him back on board.
Guy.
Even that guy. He brought him back on board for this fight after the Conor Benn fight fell through in October. And in many regards, there's a large part of Eubank's game that kind of bases itself around Roy Jones Jr.'s style. He stays on the outside predominantly in fights. He looks to jump inside, with big power shots from, kind of unconventional angles as well. And it's going to be very difficult for as skilled of an operator as Liam Smith is for him to, crash that pocket, look to employ that high-pressure style of his on a fighter as versatile from the outside as Chris Eubank Jr. is. The other major factor in this one is that Chris Eubank Jr. has campaigned for the majority of his career at super middleweight. Up at 168. He carries an absolute ton of power. And if you need any proof of that, you just compare his stoppage of Avni Yildirim versus Canelo's stoppage of the same fighter last year. He almost decapitated poor Yildirim with an uppercut. And he's facing a fighter, Liam Smith, who's predominantly operated light middleweight, 154, for almost all of his career. So there is a size gap here. And like I said, I just don't see where Liam Smith can find success in this fight. Chris Eubank Jr. will be on the outside looking to counter Smith's jab. If Smith does find a way to crash the pocket on him, look to work away on the inside, which is basically his bread and butter in fights.
Yeah,
he's very liable to get hurt in there. Jaime Munguia dropped Smith and hurt him. Canelo stopped him to the body as well. So Chris Eubank Jr. definitely has that same level of power in which to end this fight should Smith get overly reckless in there. So it's not a cheap price. It's minus 225 right now. But I'm going to take that anyway. I'm going to take Chris Eubank to win this fight outright at minus 225 next Saturday night. Live over on the Zone with you guys in the US as well. As I just believe his style, it poses too many problems for Liam Smith in this one. So, Chris Eubank Jr. for me.
There you go. Kevin Dolan, everyone. Kev Barrett Toops writes, thanks for the boxing video last week. He bet the play and cashed it. Way to go. I have a quick follow-up question to you that is on my mind. I see that you've left the sticker on your hat. Do you think you're cool, or did you just forget to take it off?
Yeah, I'm lazy, man. I just didn't,
Yeah, let's do it now. Come on, take it off now.
I'm not taking it off.
You're not 18 here, dude. Take the sticker off the hat right now.
I'm not taking the sticker off. I refuse.
So
I will
it's
not be bullied on
you're
this
lazy.
show. But I will not be bullied by a 5'7" non-basketball player.
How about the one who signs your checks?
I'm not taking it off. I'm not taking it off.
You don't sign
so
checks,
you think
Prez.
you're cool, huh?
Well, a little.
He's not being bullied. It's like 4 a.m. where he is, dude. You're not bullying him right now. He's keeping it on.
Kev, awesome stuff, brother. We love having you on. Anything quick to promote?
Yeah, we got a great promo up right now. Prez actually gets the rest of our NFL season for half price, $79 right now, down from $149 when using code BLITZ79 at checkout, BLITZ79. So yeah, head on over and check that out.
Okay. So $20 to take that sticker off your stupid hat.
I'm not taking it off.
Start up.
Okay, get out of here.
We'll do it for $100.
Yeah, for 100, you'll do it?
No.
Maybe.
No. Yeah, okay, get out of here, Kev. Teddy, let's screw the commercial break. Just go straight to your big game breakdown. Everyone's standing around with bated breath, waiting, anticipating. Pens are out, tape recorders are on. Go to your big game breakdown, brother.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's go to the Pac-12 for some college hoops action for tonight. Cal and Washington State. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing Washington State minus 13 is the prevailing number. Total 126.5. Here's the basic concept. All right, for January, early to mid-January college hoops. A team that was god-awful early isn't overpriced anymore. And meanwhile, they're getting better. These tend to be bet-on teams right now. Look at South Carolina last night, a class example, winning outright as 20-point dogs. So here are the Golden Bears at Cal, and they were awful. They were as bad as any Power 5 team, major conference team in college basketball. 0-12 to start the season and getting blown out and looking miserable. All of a sudden, they won 3 out of 4, beating a pretty good Colorado team, handling Stanford last time out. The guard play for Cal has been really good of late. They're not big. There's no interior size for Cal, and that is a problem in this matchup. That's why the money's come for Washington State. It's a tough matchup for Cal. But from a value standpoint, all right, Washington State feels like a trap game for them. There's no urgency for the Cougs whatsoever for this contest. They don't have a bone to pick against Cal. All they got to do is get the W and move on. It's a Bears team that's showing signs of life. I don't want the very worst teams in college hoops that are showing no signs of life. But teams that were awful in November and December that show signs of life in January, those are bet-on teams. They're undervalued in the markets. Give me Cal plus the 13. There's a big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers outstanding. Art DiCesare joining us, everyone. And man, if there is a weekend to talk about, this is it, Art. This is my favorite week of the NFL season, wild card week. We've already seen a massive line move in the Buffalo game. We know why. Tua has been announced out. Totally expected. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Gentlemen, good morning.
It's not morning for me, but it is for the two of you. Art, let's get right into it, man. NFL. Look, all-encompassing question. What big bets have you taken so far? Let's start right there.
I would say, Prez, the biggest bets we've taken so far have been on Seattle early and Tampa Bay early. There was a lot of money that came in on Seattle when we opened the number. San Francisco minus 10.5 Sunday night. So Seattle money came in, and then the Tampa money has not stopped. That was as high as 3.5. It's now 2.5, but a lot of Bucks money.
When it comes to the very big bets, I saw someone tweeting out yesterday, big bet alert. Someone bet $800,000 on Baltimore plus 6.5, which might have been the single. When you're thinking about bad bets, making an enormous bet on the Ravens right before the line move, before the quarterback stuff's announced. It was a terrible bet. Obviously, there's 7s and even 7.5s popping up this morning. Do you worry at all about the very big bets? Are the very big bets coming from good bettors? Do we care about the very big bets? Or the bets that you worry about are coming from sharp guys, not rich guys? Not the very richest of the rich guys.
Yeah, Teddy, we more worry about the sharp guys and the guys we respect. The big bets usually come from house players, people who got a lot of money going in on the craps table and the blackjack tables, and they want to come in the sports book and make a big bet. So that's okay. They're allowed to come do that, of course. But yeah, we're not going to respect someone who makes a bet like that, who we don't consider a sharp bettor.
And so I would be very, you want to tap on the brakes on something, tap on the brakes on caring about what the biggest bettors, the guys who are
Yeah.
betting $500,000. Those aren't wise guys. Those are rich guys. It's different. Not that wise guys aren't rich, but you're betting $500,000, you're very rich. Anything else stand out? Obviously, we've seen a whole bunch of Bills money this morning. You said you had a whole bunch of Buccaneers money at the open. You had a fair bit of Seattle money at the open. Anything going on with the Chargers and the Jaguars? Anything total-wise? Anything that we're seeing the the Giants and the Vikings? Talk to me about the rest of the card for this week in NFL action over at the Westgate Superbook right here in fabulous, sunny, freezing Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'll just go down the list. Obviously, we touched on the first game, the Seattle game. Next game, Chargers at Jags. This has been interesting. This has been the sharps have been taking the Chargers, and the public has been backing the Jaguars in this. This has been the one that I've seen kind of the pros versus Joes angle to it. Really haven't seen that in any other game, really. It's basically been this game. We opened Jags 1.5. It got to pick at one point, and we're now back to Chargers -2. So, the Charger money has started to flow in with some of the sharp bettors. Total's been bet up a little bit. It was 46.5, now 47.5. Giants and Vikings, that's been the game that's gotten the best two-way on it. It's really got good split action. Ticket count's pretty even. We actually see sharps on both sides of the either +3 or -3. So good two-way action on the Giant Viking game. Raven game, which we touched on for a second. We opened that -6. We're now -7, -120. This has been one-way traffic to the Bengals. This is the game that has the highest disparity in ticket count. 6-1 Bengal tickets to Raven tickets, and a lot of under monies come in. It was 44, now 41.5 to the total. Obviously there's a bunch of divisional games in this wild card, division matchups. A lot of people normally like to take those divisional unders, so you've seen that in that game.
Arthur DiCesare giving us the skinny from behind the counter at the Westgate Superbook. Art, really appreciate all the info you're giving. Let's do a little housekeeping here. Talk to me about the national championship game on Monday night. How did it work out for you guys? Good result, bad result? And was that game as much of a sharp square divide game as I felt it was, or was I exaggerating that a little bit?
No, it definitely was, Teddy. Early when we had that number out right after the semifinal games, it was nothing but TCU money early, and that was all public money. The money that had come in early on TCU +13.5. And then, it even got to as low as 12.5. And that's just because the money in the market was moving that way. But, yeah, I would say, the guys who we respect, it was funny. The guys who we respect, they were either going to take Georgia or they weren't going to bet the game. They just stayed away from the game. I think the interesting thing, though, was a lot of people liked the under, and obviously it didn't stay under. As far as us, it was not a good result. In the future book, it was fine. When basically one of the favorites ends up winning, you always do pretty well, just the way it is. We wanted to avoid Michigan winning. Obviously, that didn't happen. They would have killed us in the future book. There were a lot of big people who came in and said, hey, Georgia's going to be -500 on the money line. We'll lay 20K to win 5. There was a lot of that type of stuff. So a lot of money line stuff. Obviously, Georgia was in a lot of money line parlay type of things, even a lot of money line parlays that move forward to this weekend with the NFL games. So Georgia winning the way they did and the game going over actually didn't end up being that great for us.
What about 2024? Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, -300 versus the field?
For this year, we had one of those props where we said, will Alabama and Ohio State play in the national championship game? It's a prop that we offered preseason. We probably could get into a point where maybe we do something similar, or like you said, we take the 3 teams and say those 3 versus the field. I think a couple other interesting ones are Notre Dame. They're going to get a lot of pub, and they always do. And obviously, they get the quarterback from Wake Forest. And I think Florida State is a team to keep your eye on as well. They bring back the quarterback 20-1. He's going to be really high on the Heisman list, third or fourth on that list, maybe even second. So Florida State's one to keep your eye on as well.
That's the one I was going to ask you. I'm like, is there a sleeper out there? And Florida State is the one team they put that stands out at this portion of the offseason, which is, a week into it, as someone that could make a leap for next year. Just a couple of minutes left here with Art DiCesare at ArtDice21 on Twitter. Art, let's talk a little hoops action for tonight. College basketball. Are there any teams the wise guys are loading up on again and again and again? Is it all situational? Are there any teams they're fading again and again and again? And what stands out to you on tonight's college hoops card?
Yeah, Teddy, with the college basketball, it's always situational. And, I know you guys had mentioned that Kentucky game last night. We had a lot of sharps on South Carolina taking the points. No one took the money line. I can't say that. But, a lot of plus 19s with South Carolina. And obviously they went outright, so that was interesting. But, as far as the college basketball tonight, the one game kind of touch on A&M at home against Mizzou. They were -3, now -4.5. So you've seen some good A&M money come in. Couple totals in the NBA. Bucks and Hawks over money, 234 went to 236.5. Suns and Nuggets over, 225, now 227. So both overs in those NBA games.
Art DiCesare joining us. Everyone, you can find him at the Westgate. Kindest sports book dude I know. And if you need any help, just track him down. He's usually hidden in an office. It's the interesting thing is every time I come to the Westgate, I go up to the guy at the counter. I'm like, hey, is Art here? He's like, yeah, he's in the back. I'm like, oh, tell him the Prez is around. He goes back, comes out. He's like, Art just went home. What up with that, Art?
Prez, I can usually hear you when you walk into the casino. You're already screaming my name. So the second you walk in those doors, I know you're in the building.
So that's when you run.
Yeah.
That's when he leaves.
Yeah, fair enough. Art, college football's over. NFL's winding down. Are you getting more action in hockey as the hockey season progresses and the other sports start dropping off, or is it just the same all the way through?
No, I mean, hockey will start to find its footing here, pretty soon. Obviously, once the NFL gets out of the way, and we don't ever want the NFL to get out of the way because we love the NFL, but, once football kind of gets out of there and, people now start to focus on college basketball, conference play, they'll be in on the NBA, and then they'll be in on hockey. But I always say this, Prez, people who bet hockey, they're there from day one. I know, like you, I'm a hockey guy, so we're all there from day one, but the people who have so much focus on football, and now with college being done and the NFL be done here in a couple of weeks, they will start to turn their focus on the other sports.
Any hockey bet tonight?
Nah, it's basically a card that's got a lot of big favorites.
Yeah.
The one thing I have noticed, Prez, is the 5.5s that have been popping up in the market. Obviously the NHL is designed to go over. You usually just see 6 and 6.5s. So it's been interesting. We've been kind of keeping our eye, and I know I have. Anytime you see a 5.5, what people want to do with that. You see a lot of people when they see the 5.5 just want to bet the over because you don't see it a lot.
Arthur DiCesare from the Westgate Superbook. Art, are you guys still running the -105 juice on Thursdays for NFL, or does that end at the end of the regular season? And if you're not, what else do you have to promote over at the Westgate?
Yeah, as always, Teddy, -105 Thursdays, little NFL playoffs, sides and totals. So come down on Thursday, you can take advantage of that. And you can still take advantage of our app promo. You come down, brand new user, it's going to bet 100, get 100. It's perfect for the playoffs, Super Bowl coming up. All the props we'll be offering. So, come down if you're a brand new user. If you maybe just got in town, you just moved here, come down and take advantage of that. And as always, come down, you ask for Arthur DiCesare at the Westgate. I'll be more than happy to help you with whatever you need and anything you need done at the sportsbook.
There
Great
we go.
stuff, Art. Thank you.
Sorry.
Best of luck this weekend. Lawrence, you ready to do your
Yes.
presidential address yet?
Let's go,
Let's get
baby.
into it.
Okay, guys, I got tons of hockey bets for you. I was on Puck Time today. I'm going to give you guys Andrew McGinnis's best bet and Carmine Bianco's best bet. Plus, I will look at every single one of the 4 games. Before we get into that, who's the number 1 college basketball and NBA expert at WagerTalk? Who? You are correct. It is me, the Prez, up 60 units on the season in both sports combined on a 20-8 NBA run. Tonight I got 1 NBA bet, 2 college basketball bets, and 1 NHL bet. Do not miss my hoops. Okay, now that that's taken care of, let's go. Philadelphia playing Washington tonight. Look, I like the under in this game, but it is counterintuitive. Philadelphia's been playing to the over 8 out of their last 9 games. Washington, though, is a stone-cold under team. I think we're going to see a low-scoring game. I predict a final score of somewhere around 3-1. Toronto is playing Nashville tonight. I like Toronto in regulation, and I like the over. If you listen to Puck Time, both Carmine and Andrew spoke a lot about how Nashville is holding teams to under 3 goals almost every single game. I think it's 19 out of 20 right now. I think that trend ends tonight. Predicted score 5-2 Toronto. Anaheim playing Edmonton tonight. I like the over in this game. Edmonton is going to score a lot. I wouldn't even mind you taking Edmonton on the puck line. A predicted score here, 5-2 Edmonton. And the LA Kings are playing San Jose tonight. I like the over in this game as well. I think we see a big number, somewhere around 5-3. Teddy, brother. Oh, one last thing. We'll end the presidential address, but I do have to make an announcement. So bring Teddy back. Yeah, so it's not important. It's not an important one. Guys, there will be no NFL presidential address for Wild Card Week. There will be no NFL presidential address until the Super Bowl. I wrote up the entire thing last night, and ultimately I would just be giving away all my client plays. There's too few games. I can't do it. I apologize. So the NFL presidential address has been put on hold until the Super Bowl. We will have a Super Bowl NFL show. It'll be me, Merril, Andy Lang, and Megan. Stay with us until that. I do apologize. I love you all. As I end every NFL presidential address, namaste.
Namaste. That's going to wrap it for the Wednesday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here in the Pacific time zone. Noon for you back east. Between now and then, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games, and best of luck with all of your wagers.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.